What's up, you guys? Welcome back to this week's One Piece chapter review, and in this week's video, we're going to be talking about One Piece chapter 928. Now, I can honestly start this video off saying, did anyone really not expect Komurasaki to be an asshole? Because there's been an ongoing pattern in One Piece where these extremely attractive female characters have this somewhat innocent or pure or kind mask or facade, and then it's unveiled to see this immense asshole. We see this with Pudding. Hell, we've seen this with Boa Hancock, one of the world's most beautiful or attractive women. Only for Boa Hancock to be all men must die, unless it's Luffy or his friends or his crew. If you're not a part of that small circle of friends or people associated with Luffy, well, fuck you, basically. And we see with Komurasaki, you know, she's this, almost divine woman. Her presence is just this huge monumental occasion. And she's so pure and so beautiful and all these other things, on and on and on and on, like looping praises on Komurasaki. But then we see the flashbacks of how Komurasaki, without any shred of remorse, drained this man of his life savings. This guy sold his family into slavery for Komurasaki. Now, you could say, well, the guy was a fool to sell his own family into slavery and to do all of this type of stuff, but he did it out of love. And Komurasaki didn't give any other indication otherwise. And then at the very last second, she's just like, get out of my sight, you're an idiot. And I just felt like it was just really cold-blooded how she did that. That was cold-blooded. And honestly, I saw this coming. I saw Komurasaki being an asshole coming a mile away. But the only possible deflection to that whole Komurasaki equals asshole equation is Toko. Toko is a nice girl from all appearances. Toko is this nice, humble, modest girl who doesn't ask for much and just appreciates anything that comes her way. And we see Toko talking about Komurasaki in such a high manner in the only possible way. I can even basically just conciliate the two together. Toko being friends with Komurasaki is that she's not friends with Komurasaki. That Komurasaki owns her, that Toko is Komurasaki's servant or slave, that Toko's parents came from outside the capital. Because what we see is throughout Wano Country, if you're not in the capital, you don't really matter. You don't technically count as a human being. So my theory is Toko's parents were desperate, and they sold Toko into slavery or servitude. And somehow Toko got into Komurasaki's hands, or ownership. And Komurasaki abuses the ever-living crap out of Toko behind the scenes. Because the person Toko reminds me of is Koala as a kid. When she was brutalized by the Celestial Dragons or the World Nobles, we saw this type of psychological damage that they had done to Koala, where to the point she could only smile, no matter what it was, whether it was pain, whether it was fear, whether it was anger, she could only smile because the psychological damage inflicted upon her made it that smiling became second nature. And we see this type of physical reaction that Toko has, where she can only smile and laugh and cry no matter what really happens. And I feel like what happened to Koala pretty much kind of happened with Toko, but it wasn't the Celestial Dragons or the World Nobles. In this case, it was Komurasaki. And going back to the previous chapter with Lord Orochi and whatever scheme he has to get Komurasaki, I say let him have her. Let them have each other. They're both a match made in hell, basically. They're both bad people from the outlook of it. Komurasaki's a bad person. Lord Orochi seems to be a bad person from all the rumors around him. And going on to Lord Orochi, seeing that multiple-headed reptilian form of his, I was almost excited, but I just really didn't like the size of it. Like, just the scale of the size of his form compared to Kaido and his just dragon form, it's underwhelming, basically. I don't see him as this intimidating person. I know we only saw his shadow and it was behind the screen, but just basically Lord Orochi's form compared to the servant that he was talking to versus Kaido's form and his size on whether it's human form or dragon form. Kaido is just immense. And then you have Lord Orochi, who's barely towering over one of his subordinates or servants that he's talking to. And it makes me hard to believe that Lord Orochi is on the same footing as Kaido, because a lot of people like to use the structure of the sentences and the translations that people mention Lord Orochi and Kaido in the same sentence individually, and that must mean that Lord Orochi is on par with Kaido. That Lord Orochi isn't under Kaido, he doesn't serve Kaido, he's allied with Kaido. And I think that's a very likely story. As powerful as the samurai are to prevent the world government from coming in or whatever, I don't really think so. You know, I think it's all a lot of hype that doesn't live up to anything. Would I say the swordsmen of Wano are strong? Yeah, Shooting Maru is pretty darn strong. Shooting Maru clashed with Kaido in the past. That's pretty damn strong. But I don't think Lord Orochi is that strong. And I would be more hyped about this form of his if we saw it on a grander scale. If it was like this immense shadow, or we saw like some eyes and this darkness or something like that. It was just this large shadowy form. But instead it's just this kind of medium scale form that we see in like this little closed off area while he's talking to the servant. I'm not really that impressed with it. And with Luffy and Eustace Kid, hearing that Eustace lost his arm in a tango with the red hair pirates is interesting. But he never exactly said he lost his arm to Shanks. But he didn't say he didn't either. But it's interesting because I can't see the red hair pirates doing anything without a good reason. I really can't. And we also kind of get an explanation of why Eustace Kid had went and sunk several of Big Mom's ships. It was to retrieve something of his. Now, what it is, we don't know. But, you know, we also get the explanation of why he wants to take down Shanks. He lost his arm to one of the red hair pirates. Now, whether that is a good enough excuse to basically take down a Yonko themselves is beyond me. Besides, if you couldn't beat his crew, what makes you think you're going to beat him? If you couldn't beat Kaido, if you could not even manage to hold your own against Kaido, the man who Shanks had managed to stop from attacking Whitebeard, I don't know what you kind of can hope for with this alliance of yours. All three of you just got destroyed by Kaido. He fell out of the sky. You had a miniature head start, but if you can't stop Kaido, if you can't even manage to hold your own against him or even kind of escape, which we saw like none of them managed to do, but Shanks managed to hold off Kaido and prevent him from attacking Whitebeard, I don't know what to say to you. Also, for them being in prison, they're pretty damn cheery. And it's interesting that we see Raizo talking to Luffy and mentioning that he has a key and that he can get Luffy out of there. Because, to me, honestly, if I'm just being completely truthful, I think the escape attempt and the fact that Raizo managed to get into the prison, it's a little bit too easy to me. It feels like we're rushing this a little bit too quickly in Wano. In this Wano arc, I felt like there should have been more of a build-up to getting Luffy out of the prison. I feel like there should be more episodes focusing, or more chapters focusing on the prison itself and Queen. Because Queen is supposed to be breaking their spirits, right? But we're hardly seeing anything of Queen, and it seems that Luffy and Eustace are going to be busting out sometime soon. I'd rather like to see a couple more chapters involving Queen and maybe involving Luffy training in the prison and gaining some new technique or something, or getting a little bit stronger in the prison before his breakout, and seeing Luffy and his crew and Law and the rest of their allies trying to plan a way to break Luffy out, and then this, big event where we have Queen and Luffy's crew fighting, and this big thing where the Luffy's breakout and several other prisoners happens, and we see the mysterious prisoner as well. And I believe it's Oden. I believe it's Oden Kazuki, but who knows? I think it's Oden Kazuki, and it would be really interesting if there's this little big mini conflict going on with Queen, Luffy, and Eustace Kid fighting to escape the prison, and then we get the big reveal that secret prisoner is Kazuki Oden himself. And once they all break out, then we get the alliance built up, and then we get the plan to attack Kaido, Lord Orochi, all of that type of stuff. That would be really interesting to see, but Raizo's just pretty much popping up in there like it's an easy visit. I got a key. I know where the key is. I can get it, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. You're going to have to hold on a little bit. I'm just like, how did you manage to sneak in? I know you're a ninja, but this should not be right. It should be a little bit harder than that to get in there. What's the point of a prison if you can just have a ninja in there and out? Like it's nothing. How is it really supposed to hold two supernovas from the worst generation at that point? And where is Queen? Where is King? And I'd like to see more of Jack the Drought. I mean, I honestly think Jack has a better personality out of the three calamities that we've seen so far, the three disasters. Jack is the most interesting one in my opinion. And I like Jack's character design. I don't like Queen's character design at all. And King, I don't exactly like it. I don't like anything about King's design except for like the face mask that he has going on, but I do not like his suit. I don't like his gloves. I just don't like the spiked leather biker look at all. I was expecting all of them to be like this Viking, barbarian, warrior kind of look. And it seems like this is some sadomasochist thing going on between King and Queen. And I don't quite like it. But, we'll probably see their abilities, and there's probably a lot more going on. I've seen some pictures on the internet and some theories circling about what Queen's Devil Fruit ability is and what type of Devil Fruit Queen has and all this other nonsense. And all I can say is let's just hold off on that, because a lot of people were saying that Kaido was an Oni and then a Typhon and all of this other type of stuff, a demon, and he could transform into several different animals. And then it just turns out the dude's a dragon. So I'm just going to let's hold off. Let's hold off before we say this person has so-and-so Devil Fruit ability and create some concept art around that type of stuff. Because the people that created the concept art about Kaido being a demon or an Oni or an ogre or a Typhon, they're looking pretty damn stupid right now. But this is VM. What do you guys think should be the move for the next few chapters? What do you feel about Komurasaki? Do you feel like behind Komurasaki's cold-heartedness that there's actually some genuine good in there? Because we've seen this with Viola and Sanji. Viola seemed pretty evil. Pudding seemed pretty evil. But Sanji managed to get to the core of both of them. And we see that Pudding's relatively a good person. Viola is a good person. Baby Five is good. A lot of these female characters, sometimes they come off as assholes, but deep down, after some type of event, there's a good side to them. Maybe there's a good side to Komurasaki. Maybe we're just not. Maybe it just hasn't happened yet for it to come out. Maybe Komurasaki has to be this cold-blooded person because she rolls with Kinshiro. I forgot the weasel-looking samurai guy's name, because he's just that much of a non-factor. He talks a lot of mad shit about Lord Orochi, but what have you done? You are in charge of some little gang of tax people. Pretty much they're taking up money from any local businesses, and if you aren't paying them, we're gonna call in one of the calamities. Like, he's supposed to be this tough guy, but he's basically sending somebody else to do his dirty work. And that's why I don't have a high opinion of Lord Orochi. I don't have a high opinion of this weasel-looking guy. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm supposed to believe Lord Orochi is on par with Kaido. Like, if he was on par with Kaido, he could have his own men do their own dirty work. They wouldn't need to have the Beast Pirates doing everything for them. I don't know. Like I said before I, digress towards the end of this video, what do you guys think this arc should be about? What do you think should be the next move for the next few chapters? Do you think that Luffy and Usis should have an easy escape from prison? Who do you think the mysterious prisoner is? What do you think Queen's Devil Fruit is? What do you think King's Devil Fruit is? And do you think Komurasaki is good? Is there some type of redemption for Komurasaki? Do you think Toko is a slave? Answer all of this in the comment section below. Bye.